Mm. Hello, welcome to Ask Ms. Mears, where we talk about your most burning problems and solve your most nagging questions. I won't always know the answer, but I'll know someone who will. Remember when all we ever wanted was to be able to work from home and envied those who could? We conjured up fantasies of working in our pajamas, avoiding the long and stressful commute that ate up our time, being able to spend time with kids or walk the dog anytime or carve some time for exercise and our hobbies. This wish has come true, but not in the best kind of way. And of course, we weren't wishing for a dreadful pandemic to come with it. As this no longer new but 5-month-old reality has set in, it's come with a whole new set of struggles. Here to help us not just cope with these problems, but hopefully to learn how to thrive in the current normal is career coach, licensed psychologist, workshop facilitator, speaker, and author of the book, The Career Roadmap, Malu Trenes del Castillo. Hi, Malu.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for having me today, Miss Mears. I think
Hello. I think we
relevant.
have,
Yeah.
sorry, I think my screen froze. How's yours?
There.
Okay,
Seems to be okay. Right.
great.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So we can proceed.
Yes. So how are
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
today?
I'm okay. I just finished working about an hour ago, and happy to be here. I think that a lot of us are experiencing something called work from home, and it's a big adjustment, like you said earlier. Now, although maybe before we used to say, "Yeah, I want to work from the house today,"
Right, right.
but forced to do it every day for the past 5 to 6 months is a bit of a challenge.
It's a whole different scenario.
Yes,
And
yes,
have
that's
you embraced working from home or were you already doing online counseling long
well.
before?
Truthfully, before I used to think that, oh, I need face to face. I need a face to face interaction with my client, and I would get requests. Sometimes from people outside the Philippines or outside Metro Manila. Na, can we do online counseling? And as a bit traditional in that sense. I felt na no, I think we need to see each other face to face, get a feel of each other, so you feel like you trust me, and all that. But actually now, I was surprised to see that virtual counseling does work. And sometimes I try to have a face-to-face meeting, but sometimes not everybody wants to do that. And I think there's already, I don't know if it's a real phenomenon, but Zoom fatigue. So
Yeah,
parang, yeah, so we just say, oh, parang audio call na lang. So yeah, so we're all adjusting to this work from home phenomenon.
right.
Yeah.
And have you experienced a surge in clients since the lockdown started? We were chatting earlier and you did
Yes.
mention so.
Yes, that's right. Right now, I think in addition to managing our stress about the pandemic, and not just the pandemic, but how maybe other factors now, how our family is coping. Some of us have aging parents. Some of us have frontliner family members who are doctors or nurses, and as well as managing staying at home with your kids all day, which before you probably thought that would be nice, but now it's like it has its own stressors, no? So I'm getting a lot of people who are coming in and wanting to consult, wanting to seek counseling for a variety of reasons, and a lot of it actually was about the challenges of working from home. And so what I'm going to share today with you are what I've seen my clients cope with, deal with, and hopefully in talking about it, help other people who haven't had the opportunity to seek counseling, and hopefully we can help them with a little bit of our tips and our recommendations. No?
Right. Before we go into that, let's
Yeah.
talk a little bit about your background. You have
Sure.
successfully combined 14 years of expertise in the corporate world with an MA in psychology. And you also
Yeah.
had a career advice column in Good Housekeeping, and you even
Yes.
wrote a book. And
Right.
you have worked with over 1,000 clients in pursuit of their long-term personal and career goals. Want to talk
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah. Well, actually, it was um, a bit surprising for many of my family and friends and people I went to school with that I did a career shift. No, so I was in corporate for about 14 years doing marketing or brand management, and when I was in college, that was my goal. I want to be in marketing, brand management. I had a cousin at the time who worked in one of the large multinationals doing brand management. And he was managing a soap brand. I'm sure some of us still remember it. It's called Camay. I don't know if you remember that. Yeah, maybe many
Yeah.
people don't remember. And I thought, wow, what a life. That's nice. It's so exciting. You're making ads. You're developing new products. And that's what I did. I studied that. I studied marketing, and I worked in some corporate big wigs, no, like parang I worked for Johnson Johnson, PepsiCo, Van Mel, and I climbed the corporate ladder there. And I would say that it was a very rewarding career. It was a very good experience. But after having undergone some, I don't know, some milestones in my life, and I needed to reflect on what else did I want to do now with the rest of my life, and that's when I decided that what I was good at actually was, I think, coaching people who were my team. And that's when I decided that I think I want to do a career shift that has to do with helping people with regards to their career. So I became a headhunter. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
headhunters
Okay.
are the ones who look
Oh,
for
yeah, I know
jobs
what
for
it
other
means.
people.
But
Yeah.
yeah, right,
Yeah.
right. All right.
So I did that for about a year, but then I felt that it was okay. It exposed me to a whole different ball game, so to speak. Many different industries, which is great. It taught me even more about job searching and preparing for how to look for a job properly and getting the job you really want to get. And and that was great, but I felt like there was something else I wanted to do, and that was to help people with whatever I knew
Right.
about looking
Right.
for a good job. And from then on, I kept talking to people about what I wanted to do, which is help advise people about their careers. At the time, it was like people were going, is there a job like that? Is there something like that people really get paid to do that? So
Right.
yeah, so I think it was great. It worked out great because I guess I kept repeating and repeating what I wanted to do until it finally found its way to a company that was actually getting consultants on to help other people in managing their careers. So managing your
Right.
career after you've lost your job, or managing your career if you're at a crossroads. And
Right.
so I became a career consultant. And then in doing career consulting, I realized that I wanted to really be good at it. And so I went back to school and I took my master's in psychology. So that was a few years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And then and I took the boards for psychology. So now I'm a licensed psychologist. So now I do both career counseling as well as psychological counseling. So that's the short story of how I got where I was. So I like to tell that to a lot of people right now. Maybe there's uncertainty. Maybe you're at the crossroads as well with this
There's
pandemic.
definitely a lot of that.
Yeah, but but you know, there's always something else that might be coming along the way in that journey, and sometimes things happen to lead you in the right direction. So yeah, so
Right.
that's yeah.
So in the
Yeah.
meantime, we
Mm-hmm.
will work from home and try
Yes.
to thrive doing so. So the first
Yes.
challenge that you
Yeah.
have observed,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure many of us have experienced, is overwhelm and overwork.
Yes, that's right. Uh, I think that many of us want to do a good job, and working from home makes us feel like we want to prove that we can keep working and working, and I'm not just
Right.
goofing off, I'm not watching Netflix, I'm working, okay? So surprisingly, I mean, for many of us, it feels like I need to work all the time. I need to be able, people can reach me no matter what time it is. As soon as if I get push emails that come up in my phone, I have to answer it right away.
Right.
And another thing is, we keep hearing that people are some businesses are closing, some people are losing their jobs. So we want to show that we deserve this job, we're gonna do well
Right.
at this job. Yeah,
Everyone's hanging on to their jobs. Like you don't want
Yes.
to be perceived as a slacker or
yes, exactly.
slow in responding.
Yeah, right. So people want to just show that I'm doing a good job, and I'm grateful for that. And me too, I'm also like, I feel like I'm glad that I still have work during this pandemic. Unfortunately, and a problem or a byproduct of that is that since we're never offline and we're always online, we never stop working.
Right.
So I get a lot of clients tell me na parang they're working 12, 13, 14, 15, sometimes even 16 hours a day. No?
Right.
So parang there's no boundary anymore. And so they get a sense that they can't unplug, and they get overwhelmed. Kasi parang it starts usually with the most common thing I hear, which is really a bad sign, is that sometimes hindi na sila makatulog. So they can't sleep because they're thinking about, what am I supposed to do tomorrow? I didn't finish sending that email. I didn't reply to so and so. So they go back and they're doing these different tasks for work all the way until bedtime. No, and what happens is that now we actually were at home, but now we feel like we don't have time to actually do our other interests. We
Right.
start
Right.
forgetting to exercise. Then we get cranky with our family
Right.
members sometimes, and things like that. No, so learning to unplug is something that I think we all need to be able to do to stay sane and healthy.
Right.
So the first thing I would tell people is, and I hear this a lot. No, people would rant, "I'm so overworked. I have so many things to do. I never finish." The sad reality is the inbox will never be empty. But you need to call a time out at a certain time, right? So you need to say, for example, your hours are 8 to 5, then quit at 5 o'clock. If you feel like you really want to work a little bit longer and say, well, I didn't commute naman to the office today, I saved 4 hours, so okay, you want to stay a little longer, stay until 6 o'clock, diba? But there needs to be a clear start and end time so that you can do other things with your life that you feel fuels you. Because otherwise, you will run out of fuel. And I've seen this with a
Right.
lot of clients na parang wala na silang maisip except the
Right.
project, the communication, the email, and then they get burned out. No, so
But what- Sorry,
Mhm.
but what if you have a boss
Yeah.
who does not respect this start and stop work time, especially if everyone's trying to prove
Yes.
that they're more valuable than the next employee?
Yes, I understand. So I think that it's critical to show that you are able to finish the tasks that you can finish, and to keep the boss informed. And we'll talk a little bit about that for the last point of one of the challenges.
Right.
from
Later,
home,
yeah.
no? But it is true that sometimes you will have bosses that are texting you until late at night, and what you need to learn is to be able to respond and maybe say, or teach the boss
Teach.
teach the boss that I will reply tomorrow at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock with a complete parang report or
Right.
discussion on what we're talking about. I think that that's fair. Sorry for the bosses out there who do that after office, but I've learned as well. I used to, my time was 8 to 5. Then I became a consultant. Then I became a counselor. And I would get texts from my clients, at 9 p.m., 10 p.m. And I'd feel so uncomfortable leaving it unanswered. So I would
Right.
reply and then hanggang hindi na siya natatapos, no? So I realized that this is not healthy for them and it's not healthy for me because they also can't stop working. And I'm encouraging them by replying to them at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. And I'm doing that to my clients as well, who I feel like, you know what, we're not going to solve this counseling problem at 9 p.m. through text. Let's set an appointment. Let's talk for an hour. And it teaches them discipline too. So
Right.
I would reply, if you really want to reply, you say, I'm sorry I can't reply to you right now, but I'll get back to you tomorrow. Now,
Right.
after a while, what I noticed with that is they learn. Na parang, okay, hindi na naman siya magre-reply sa akin, di bukas na lang. So, or sometimes I don't even check it, so it doesn't look like I've seen it and I've ghost seen them, which is like making them feel like nakikita niya pero hindi siya nag-reply.
Right. Oh,
No.
ghost.
So, yeah, so for me, I would rather...
Or scene zone pala.
Yeah, scene zone. Tama, scene zone.
I have to admit, I used to be that kind of boss, having
Yeah.
been in media. So, sorry na lang sa mga
Yeah.
staff ko. Kasi media. But then, yeah, sometimes it's frustrating for the boss also, especially if you're that kind of boss. Nga.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
yun.
But I've realized that, and this is something that I would tell my clients, no? You add value to your company, your organization. And if you do not put boundaries, and if you get exhausted, which happens to a number of my clients, and you're burned out, and you get panic attacks already whenever you hear your phone beep, and that happens.
It happened to me too.
Hyperventilate ka na, di ba? So then you're not doing anybody a service by not putting those boundaries. And I realized in the beginning, the first time you do it, the first time you say no, and you can be a good person even if you say no. You can be a good worker even if you say no.
can.
The first time I did that, no, I said, no, parang I can't reply to this. I can't say yes to this. My heart was pounding talaga. Tas I was sweating. Parang, no, diba? Parang it makes it appear like I'm not grateful for this job or this project or this client. But I think that you need to guard your mental health too. Otherwise, there won't be anything left for them. Otherwise. Yeah.
Okay, wish I knew this back then.
So clear start and stop times. In the same way that you would like, kasi before, diba, when you go to work, you get dressed, get in your car, drive to wherever your office is, and then at the end of the day, you pack up your things, you get in your car, you drive home. So there's like a transition.
There are physical cues to condition you about the next thing you're gonna do.
Yeah. So I would
now, wala.
You need to really do that. You need to say na this is the end of my work day. If your cutoff is 5 or 6, then plan something at that time. You know, whether it's a get together with friends online or I need to catch up with my mom. And that was one of my tricks when I was in corporate before. Na I needed to go at 6 o'clock. I would plan my doctor's appointment at 6:30. So I tell my boss, I have to go because my doctor's appointment
tip for everyone.
I have to go. So and sometimes, what some of my friends said they would do is they'd plan their exercise class. They would join a class that they paid for already at 7 o'clock. So talagang time out, I got it.
Right.
So there.
In fact, in countries like France, isn't it against the law to email your staff after office hours?
Really?
I think ganon in France.
Yeah. Well, see, we can do that too here. Well, it's not yet a law. But I think pretty soon, if we're gonna get so anxious and people are gonna get burned out, it should be maybe later on. But yeah. I will talk about that as well and how to manage your boss in the later part of the program.
Another physical cue or manifestation of your shift in work and rest time is the next solution.
Yeah, which is I would really advise people have a clear work area in your home. No, so I work in it's a 40 something square meter condo with my son and the dog and our kasambahay. So it's, I know we are limited sometimes by, there are other people in this home. There are other things that are going on. So we end up working in the dining table or on the
Right.
bed.
Right.
And that sometimes leads to us not noticing na we're blurring the lines now between work and home. So I would really recommend, it helps a lot if you could just clear an area where you can say, this is my work area. When I'm seated here, I'm working. And that's how you can transition. No? In the morning, take your shower, clean up, eat your breakfast, bring your coffee to your desk or work area, and you sit there. No? And the suggestion is, it's like a less cluttered, noisy area. No, it's more quiet where you can concentrate on the work that you need to do. And when I sit there, and this is what I was telling people, when you sit there, your family members will know, nagtatrabaho na siya. Hindi ko na siya pwedeng istorbohin. No? And even kids notice that. Mommy is now seated in her work desk and the door is closed. So, or, parang she's now doing something. She's now busy. No? And
Right.
even, I notice you can even train younger kids to do that. And even our parents, if you're living with your parents at home, she's sitting there, she's working now.
Right.
So that
And they
helps
have
a
to
lot.
respect it. They have to
Yes,
respect it.
exactly. No, so you can use any little table. I use when I'm
Right.
I have a vanity table, meaning this is the table where I put my makeup, my brushes, my whatever. I blow dry my hair. It's a multi-purpose thing. When I switch it to work, I take off all of that, my books,
Right.
everything, and it's really where I work. And then at the end of the day, I need to use it anyway for all those other things. Then all the personal items go back on top of that table. So it's really also like a
Right.
transition. Yeah.
My problem
That
is I work on our kitchen island, and it's
Yeah.
inside the kitchen, which is near the
Yeah.
fridge, which is near the food.
Yeah. Well, you need to take snacks anyway. You need breaks. So go and get your snack, right?
Sobrang daming snacks na.
Yeah.
The next challenge is feeling isolated,
Yes,
especially
feeling-
for those who live alone,
Yeah, that's
and
right.
even cabin fever.
Yes, that's right. So I think what many of us did not realize was that, and I'm hearing this from a lot of my clients, is they didn't realize how important pala their office mates are. No, even when they weren't that close naman, but parang now they said,
Right.
I would hear people saying that I just need to see that someone else is working there across in the other
Right,
cubicle, because otherwise I feel like it's just me at home alone working, no?
Right.
So these are the two polar opposites, no? So I have people saying to me na, I usually, if your family's far away or in the province or something, and you didn't have time to go home to them, you end up working wherever, like near your office, if you were renting a place or you were boarding in some place, and you're by yourself. Now, some people are by themselves, and they feel very isolated. They feel very separate from everybody, and they get lonely. No, because we of course, especially during the strict ECQ, you can't really go out and you can't catch up with your friends and you can't see them and all that. So so that's one end of the spectrum. The other end was people naman na having too many family members that are
Right.
supporting me, right?
Right.
So parang, hindi ko na kaya talaga that my even if I love them, my partner, my parents, my children, parang it's too tight here. So, first of all, I would really recommend to people that you need to catch up with friends and feel like you are still a social being, which you are,
Yeah.
because we all are. No? So I think that these Zoom parties were born, and I don't know if you've ever had that, where you Zoom with your family members and your friends and
Right.
your barkada and your office mates, no? And I do this with my high school friends. We have a Zoom brunch every Sunday. So basically, we're having breakfast. For those who are in the Philippines, nagbe-breakfast kami. For those who are in another country, dinner na yon. Every Sunday. It's an ongoing thing. Kung available ka, join. If it's too stressful because you're taking care of your child or doing other errands, then don't join. but it's
Right.
nice to set that up. And then I have other friends naman that on Friday nights, TGIF, I don't know if that's still a term that people use nowadays. You have your weekly or every 2 weeks, what they call Numan, or you have a
Yeah,
happy
inuman.
hour, yeah, and at first, all the things we would talk about was COVID related, pandemic related. And I realized, you know what, this is kind of getting kind of negative now. So we switched the topics and made it more fun. So we started, I think there was one Zoom party or Zoom merienda that we did at the time. That what was uso was crash landing on you. So we had a Chloe trivia
May
uh,
theme.
night. Yeah, exactly. There was a theme. And then there was one parang ECQ pandemic games. So there was like,
Okay.
so just to make yourself feel like you're still in touch, your friends are still
Right.
there, your family is still there, and you can still be social and you can still have fun. If there's no games, if nobody wants to do that, sometimes what we do is put silly hats while we're
Okay.
talking. And it still makes you feel like you're part of
Right.
something
And
or
you also
someone.
encourage interacting with coworkers, but not about
Absolutely.
work.
Yes, exactly. So I would tell some bosses na sometimes kasi nga our team members are getting tired of meeting lang ng meeting and
Right.
then ayoko na, then ganyan. So I would say then make it fun. Do on a Friday, for example, and one of my clients did this to make it fun. Nagulat yung kanyang employees na parang, boss, what are we doing this Friday? Nothing, just go. And he had a
Wow.
game, diba? Like a
Okay.
bring me game, pandemic theme or something. Like bring me a roll of toilet paper, something like
Okay.
that. And the employees had fun, diba? Parang
Right.
once in a while, you need to just
Right.
get together and just be a group and have fun and do that, no?
But sometimes that's also why people stay in a job long. The
Yes,
people,
yeah,
right? And without the
yeah.
people, it's
And they're
hard.
like they become your second
Your
family because you're
family.
there 8-10 hours a
Right.
day, no? So I
Right.
think that's necessary too. For cabin fever naman, which is like, I think, when you have cabin fever, it's like you feel like you're left at home all the time and you're not going out, you're not seeing what's happening out there. So sometimes you can even get cabin fever if you're staying with your family or your
Right.
your your, your spouse and your kids. Parang you're tired of it, or maybe we call it quarantine fatigue, no, in the
Right.
Philippines, that
Right.
you feel like you need to go out there. And I think that there's a reason for this, and that we really need the outdoors. They saying if you are stressed and if you're burned out, it helps to go out into nature and
Right.
get the sun, get some vitamin
Yeah.
D. I understand there are limitations now. We can't really do what we used to do, no,
Right.
and go out all the time. But if you feel like it's safe in your area, maybe you stay in a house, step out into the garden, be among your plants if you like plants, diba? Get some vitamin D because that also contributes to
Right.
positive hormones. If you can't, because there are cases where you can't do that, no? Some people, what some of my clients have done is they go out for a drive on a Sunday. So you're in the safety of your car, if you have a car. Go out for a drive on a Sunday, see what's out there. I had a client who told me that he just went to the seaside, which is near his house, and he observed people walking. There were some people that he didn't want to take a walk himself because of COVID
Right.
concerns.
Right.
Fine, but it helped. It helped
Change
to
of
see,
scenery lang.
yeah, change of scenery. No, if you
Right.
really can't go out, then instead of going out to nature, then bring the nature in. So what
Right.
I mean
Like
by that,
the plants behind me
yes,
in my virtual background.
right, exactly. Or even if you don't have real plants, then what I would tell people is, instead of getting so stressed watching what's happening on social media and there are people arguing there, then follow an influencer who's into plants,
Okay.
diba, or into
Pwede na.
traveling, diba?
Right.
Pwede
Right.
na, diba? Or watch a show that talks about that. So it's like you're kind of going outdoors, but you're indoors. Or
Right.
even get an aquarium, have a fish,
Right.
have uh, or have activities that make you remember what nature is
Right.
like. So sometimes, like what sometimes I do when I've had a particularly challenging day, I listen to nature sounds. So I listen
Oh,
to
right.
those nature, like the rain, and then some, and they're available online. As I'm doing that, sometimes I sit by the window. Unfortunately, we don't have a balcony here, but sit by the window, look at the skyline, look at the sun, look at, if it's
Right.
raining, listen to the rain. Or even if you're feeling claustrophobic because too many family members are around all the time, as much as we love them, what I advise some of my clients is take some quiet time, wake up before everybody else. If it's 15 minutes quiet time before the rest of the family wakes up, go and do that and have your coffee and sit quietly. Sometimes that helps. No?
Right. You know, in Japan, there's such a thing called forest bathing,
Yes,
where
that's
they
right.
actually prescribe being with nature to
Yeah,
heal.
absolutely.
So there.
So that's how important it is. And there are ways to kind of
Right.
put that into our life.
Let's
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
I also tell people then you can sometimes even do creative hobbies that kind of stimulate that sense of wonder about nature. So what are those? Like maybe you can paint, you know. If you don't have, like me, I'm not very talented in painting, so I ordered one of those paint by numbers with one of those nature scenes. Do a puzzle, diba? A puzzle, or even coloring book, diba?
I've seen your knitting on your Facebook page.
Yes, yes, I do. I knit. Yeah, my friends know that I'm a knitting addict, and what it is you, because I think everybody's got a sense of creativity inside them. I
Right.
didn't think I did, but when I learned how to knit, it's like you're releasing that creative expression,
Right.
and
Right.
so your life is no longer just about work and home, or even the roles that you play. Even if you do love your family members, there needs to be a little bit more than that, and that's what can help you feel good and creative about yourself and be engaged in something else.
Right. We'll pause for a while to highlight some comments
Yes.
from PR Ed Fuentes. Are you two talking about me? I think natamaan siya dun sa mga boss na nagte-text paggabi. Yes,
Uh-oh.
Ed, we will train you. So- Just kidding. And then from
Yeah.
Owen Santos, nature deficit disorder is what they're calling it these days,
Yeah.
which is very, very true. So our third challenge is, I think the overwhelm also comes from this challenge.
Yes.
Managing your many roles as a career person, parent, spouse, and child of aging parents.
Yes, that's right. So definitely, I think not only does this pandemic parang it makes a lot of people afraid as well for family members, no? Especially if you have aging parents, if you have children. And when you're at home with them the whole day, again, as much as you love them, it kind of parang underscores the importance of having to take care of them and do your roles. And yun na nga, when you don't have the right boundaries between I'm now working at this time, I feel like, and this happens to me too, that our family members also need us to do certain things for them
Yes, for
in the
sure.
home. No, in my experience, for example, my son would sometimes, knock on the door when I'm doing a counseling session, and I've told him not to do this, but he still does. It's parang, Mom, the internet's fluctuating. Mga
Oh
ganyang
no.
concern. Diba? O kaya, or I think for some of my clients, no, the parents are like, oh anak, kumain ka na, ba't hindi ka pa kumakain? And then also sometimes there's, while you're trying to work, no, or sometimes there's also certain needs of our aging parents, like there's a need to take care of them, bring them to the doctor.
Right, right.
Sometimes you need to serve them as well when they need that, no. I know these are certain realities that all of us have, and no role is more important than the other. They're all a priority. So what do I advise my clients? I tell them, well, I think it's important for you to have a schedule for yourself and for your family members that everyone is aware of. If you have a spouse or a partner or a sibling, it's good to agree, if you can, on who takes care of what at a certain time. Now, for example, if you know the children wake up at 7:30 or 8 o'clock, then maybe you can find a way that you do your most productive work from 6 to 7:30 or 8 o'clock. Then you stop, diba? Take care of your children or your family member from 8 o'clock to 10:30, and then maybe you tell your spouse, partner, or sibling, oh, ikaw naman. And then salitan tayo, in 2-hour breaks. And during those 2-hour schedules, you do your part with your family member, and your spouse or sibling or whoever does their part. It's great if you have that kind of arrangement. Then that works out really well. In some cases with aging parents, sometimes it's necessary really to even ask the help of an outsider or a caregiver, provided that they've been tested, they're safe, just so that you can manage and balance all of these different roles. Young children, some people will say, kasi my kids, they want my attention, especially ngayon na
walang
online
yaya
school.
minsan.
Yeah,
online school and
online
walang yaya.
school, and then they don't know what to do, and they're complaining, they need your help. And I think that sometimes now's the time to teach our kids about the need to stick to a schedule and to organize our day, as well as now's the time to educate our spouses, partners, or siblings that we need to take turns. Some people will say, but children can't figure it out, the schedule. They can. Even my dog knows when the schedule is.
Wow, your dog.
He knows when it's walk time. He knows when it's time for cuddling. He knows when it's like, oh gosh, I gotta leave them alone.
You can train a dog.
Yeah, you can train a dog. You can train your kids. But definitely, I know it's challenging. I'm just trying to, let's try to find ways to work together to get the family members to pitch in. Sometimes what I also tell them is incentivize your kids or your family members and say, if you let me do this meeting or this Zoom call quietly for the next 2 hours, when I come out, you and I are gonna whatever, play a game, do a board game, or you can get extra 15 minutes gadget time or something like that. Sometimes you need to be a little bit creative, to do the best you can. A lot of my clients would say nakakahiya. My boss might think I'm slacking off. I went offline to take care of the kids for 2 hours. So I feel like I need to make up for it. Sure, make up for it if you can. But stick to the time that you were away. But I think it's fair for us to also be realistic and tell our bosses or colleagues or team members, I'm sorry, usually at this time, my kids are around, I'm helping them do this. I can't really be online at the time. It might be a little bit noisy when I do my Zoom call with you.
Right.
And I think many people are understanding of that and cognizant that this is not ideal, but we all need to make do with this. So I think that's it. And be realistic, and I think you also need to be self-forgiving to yourself when you don't get to do all the things you wanted to do. Yeah, I feel like we berate ourselves a lot. I hear that a lot. Na parang, I should have been a better mom, better employee, better wife, better whatever, better child, whatever. But you're doing the best you can, and I think that's something we sometimes need to stop and admit to ourselves. You do the best you can, and sometimes it's not gonna be that perfect, but you make do.
Is it just women who bring this upon themselves? Like, I rarely hear about men saying, I'm not a good husband. I'm just sitting on the couch playing my game.
Well, I don't know. You know what? Come to think of it, I do hear mostly women saying that. No, because they're usually the caregiver.
Ask for help.
Ask for help. But I also do have clients who are male who, like usually like when they're the child who takes care of the parents and
right
and there's no other person they can ask to pitch in. But they also, I think that guys get that too. They get some guilt there
Okay,
too.
sorry.
But it is true. I get a lot of women who do say that. And I guess that's a topic for another time. But
Right.
that's our stereotype, diba? It's the woman
Right.
who cooks, who cleans,
Because we
who.
all want to be superwoman and we don't
That's
ask for
true.
help.
Yeah, right. But now's the time to realize, and I think this is also a lesson in humility that we need to say, I've done the best I can, and this is it. I need to say that, mom, or to your spouse or partner, dear, or even to your kids, and say, I'm sorry, I'm doing
Right.
the best I can, but this is all I can do for now. And it
Right.
doesn't make you a bad mom, a bad child, a bad wife. It's just,
Right.
we're doing the best we can. No? And that's a mindset that I'm hoping more of us can have. No?
Right. So number
Yeah.
4 is something that affects everyone, even
Yeah.
not just the work from homers, even
Yes.
creative people. I've heard about writers who can't write, painters who can't
Mm-hmm.
paint.
Mm-hmm. So I think that I don't want to downplay the pandemic and the seriousness of this COVID situation and whatever else is going on out there, whether it's politics or all that. No, they're all pretty serious, and they can be alarming, particularly if you watch the evening news, whether it's Philippine based news or all around the world news.
Right.
It can really stress you out. But the thing is, and I'm seeing a lot of clients, develop anxiety because they can't stop thinking about, what if I get sick? What if there's no cure? What if I lose my job?
Right.
What if there's whatever else is happening? No, whatever that might be, or depending on your political or religious concerns. But I think what we need to understand is that if your stress response kicks in, that makes you even more vulnerable to getting sick,
Right. Right.
whether physically or mentally. No, and what does that mean? The stress response is in all of us, and that's the fight or flight response. I don't know if you're familiar with that or you've heard that
Yes.
before.
Yes.
Yeah. When we feel like there is a threat in for our family or for ourselves, and definitely there's a threat. No, it's this COVID-19 is everywhere. We're still trying to understand it. That is a threat. But um, even if you think about it and yet it's not there, you don't have a family member who's gotten sick, the more you think about it, the more stressed you get, the more you activate the fight or flight response. So what
Right.
is that? No? When a person perceives there's a danger, it triggers a response in his brain to either fight the danger or
Flee.
flee, or yeah, run away from the danger, or to freeze. Because if you're actually out there, kunyari, in a dangerous situation, let's say in an extreme situation, like you're out there in the forest and a dangerous animal comes around,
Right. Right.
your adrenaline kicks in because you have to run away from it, you have to fight it, or you freeze para hindi ka mapansin, di ba? And the fight or flight response is not a bad thing per se, because that's self-preservation, that's for
Right.
survival. But if you're constantly immersing yourself in what can go wrong and the worst case scenario, your fight or flight response is on all the time, and it's not supposed to be on all the time, because you will burn out. No, it's like an
Right.
appliance that you turn on. Let's say a microwave. I mean, I don't know, how long do you turn a microwave on? 1 minute, 2 minutes? You turn it on for how many hours? What's gonna happen? Sasabog yun. So in the same
Right.
way, if you're constantly feeding your stress by worrying and worrying about the worst case scenario, you're constantly feeling hyper vigilant, hyper alert, and that's why people can't focus. That's why they can't concentrate. They either feel so many things, or they don't feel anything because they're numbing themselves already from
Right.
being overwhelmed by
Right.
stress. So what do I advise? That for me, take whatever precaution you need to take. If you're going out there, follow the rules, put on your mask, wear your face shield, control what you can to stay healthy for yourself or your family. Diba? Do whatever precautions you need to do. Inform yourself. But after that, focus on what you can control. No?
Right.
Plan your day, your schedules, your activities. Focus on that. No? Instead of giving in to worrying about all the worst case scenarios and activating that stress response, which is gonna tire you out. No? And you can control certain things, your schedule,
Right.
your behavior, your activities. And then that comes, my next point there would be, if you can, stay healthy by doing exercise, by sleeping enough. And
Right.
that's part of staying healthy. And that's part
Right.
of coping with stress. No?
Right.
And the rest of it, let it go. Don't obsess about what can possibly go wrong. Just do the best you can with that and control yourself, your mindset, your activities, your home. Okay.
Right.
But not naman over control. Yeah.
I guess a sense of control is what's
Yes.
important. And what if
Yes.
you're not the type to really make lists or schedules and never were?
Mm-hmm.
We'll
Well,
just have to learn how in order to
I
gain a sense of control.
I think it helps talaga a lot, because a lot of people say, I can't seem to schedule my exercise. I can't seem to find the time to do this. I think now is the time
To
where
learn.
living purposefully and mindfully helps.
Right.
I have an exercise that I tell my clients that I think helps them understand and realize that in the activities of their day pala, they're not getting enough joy. I'm sharing this to you because
Oh,
I feel like
joy.
I tell people, you need joy, you need sleep, you need exercise, you need friends, you need all of these things so that you can be a good employee or a good worker. So parang the work from home piece only works if everything else around it is
Right.
also healthy and balanced. No? So sometimes people say, so how do I know if I'm getting enough joy? I go, you know what you do? You write down a schedule every day on the activities that you did. So make a list, di ba? 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11. After you write down what you actually did there, rank it from 1 to 10 on how much happiness it gave you. I really, that's a real exercise I give my clients. And then they look at it and they go, oo nga, no? Parang there's so few activities that are actually giving me happiness. Diba? So no wonder pala, I'm exhausted and I'm tired and I'm sungit, I'm cranky, because you're not doing anything to refill the happy hormones in your body.
Right.
No? So maybe now's the time to be purposeful and schedule the things that keep you balanced, healthy, and happy. And that includes scheduling activities that make you feel joy and happiness, in addition to scheduling your workday and the things that you need to do in your different roles.
Right. But then some people naman will over focus on joy. Let's say, what makes
Yeah.
me happy? Eating. So stress eating or playing
Yeah.
video games.
Yeah,
And
I
then
guess.
minsan, ano na siya,
Mm-mm.
denial na of reality.
Oo,
Diba?
siguro I think it's time. I think that happens to me too. Too much of a good thing is really
Right.
gonna backfire, like you were asking me earlier. You saw that I knit, diba? So I'm like an obsessive knitting makes me relax, and that's my meditation. So I knit like 2 to
Ang
3
dami
hours
nga.
a day. So what happened? Too much of a good thing. Even while I'm watching TV, even when I'm talking to someone, I'm knitting. Nagka-carpal tunnel syndrome ako. I couldn't knit for 5 days. So talagang, I was like, oh my God, what happened to, all of the yarn I bought, and I promised to knit all these things for people. So you can really get too much of a good thing. In the same way,
Right.
if you overeat all the ice cream and all the
Or
chocolates,
baking bread. Baking
yeah,
and baking and baking.
baking so much bread, you're spending so much money, all the carbs are gonna make you gain weight, then you'll get
Right.
guilty. And truthfully, all the sugar is gonna make you sluggish, and you can't concentrate anymore kasi inaantok ka na. That's just a
Right.
physical response of the body when you know you've had too much of those baked goods. So yeah, everything in moderation. I don't think you can be happy all day, because that's kind of toxic positivity there too. I mean, you need to work, you need to do
Right.
your
I guess if you
responsibilities.
log it in, you can see
Yeah,
like
you
six
can see.
hours of eating. Then that's too
Yeah,
much.
right. Exactly. No. So have I was talking to somebody, to one of my mentors, and he was telling me this. No, um, one of the realities of a human being is that he needs to find meaning in his life, and the
Right.
meaning can mean many things to different people, but usually we get that from our productive activities, including work. So for many of us, the 8 hours in the office, yes, we work for an income, for the benefits, but a lot of us get meaning from that work. And I think that even if certain people are wealthy enough, they don't supposedly need work, there's still an urge to do a productive activity, no?
Right.
And meaning is different from happiness. So I definitely think that if it's all just eating and enjoyment and joy, may time rin when you're going to feel na kulang siya, no? And then
Right.
that's the time that you feel like you should be doing something productive, no?
Right. So the
Yeah.
fifth challenge is managing not just people under you, but your
Yeah.
boss.
Yes, that's right. So we're all adjusting to work from home, no? And I've got clients who are either bosses or they're the staff, no? So parang we're still trying to know what's the right way to handle people, what's the
Right.
right way to, parang how much is too much, no? So I would advise people to have open communication, have your regular meetings, be honest with them on what the pressures are and what's important for you to finish and accomplish, but also try to separate what the pressures are on you, and don't parang wag mo silang ibuhos sa mga tao mo, no? So an example na parang sales are tough now, a lot of
Right.
companies are not getting the
Right.
revenues,
Right.
but for many of the bosses, they're not usually the ones in charge of actually calling the customer, billing the customer. So they breathe down their people's neck and say, what's happening, and parang micromanaging, di ba? But that actually kind of nasasakal naman yung mga tao mo, and they also can't work, no? So I would say keep the communication lines open, tell them what your stressors are, but also allow people to to make discarte on their own, diba? Find their
Right.
own way to do their job, and trust that they're also trying their best, no?
Right.
Don't have endless meetings. Endless Zoom meetings are exhausting, no? That I hear that a lot from a lot of my clients. Parang we just have meetings wall to wall. I don't
Right.
have time to do my job anymore, no? So
Right.
maybe a
Right.
little bit less meetings. Just do that every so often. But allow people to do their job. If you want to
Right.
know what they're doing, then check up on them occasionally, but give them some trust. And for the staff, be a problem solver also. No, if you have a problem, recommend a solution on how to solve it. Diba? Be aware as well that if your boss is getting crankier or maybe a little bit more driving the volume and all that, don't take it personally. This is all of us trying to do our best to do a good job. Now, because sometimes I
Right.
hear my clients say, parang hindi na siya masaya sa akin. He
Oh yeah.
makes me feel incompetent. I
Oh
feel so
no.
incompetent and incapable. And I say, this, don't take it personally. He's just checking and checking and checking,
Right.
because he or she also feels
Feels the pressure also.
the pressure on himself. So a lot of the times it's not because he believes his staff is incapable or incompetent. It's also because we don't know kung saan tayo lalagay, di ba? Do I
Right.
need to oversee them more, or do I need to
Right.
back off more? Have an honest conversation to discuss that, and keep it professional, and keep it, it's just work. It's not
Right.
about people not trusting you, no? So
Right.
it's also give enough space to each other, and be self-forgiving as well, no?
Right. What
a
about
lot Mhm.
sorry, go ahead.
A lot of the times I hear people say, My boss is pressuring me. He expects so much from me. And then I tell them, how do you know he expects so much from you? Did he say so? No, I just feel it. I feel like sometimes, okay, you're feeling the pressure. Maybe he's pressuring you a little bit, but also realize where it's also your own self-talk.
Right,
Now, we
right.
all want to do a good job, and sometimes we do the best we can, and then learn to let certain things go. Then don't take things
Right.
personally too. Mm-mm.
Right. I read somewhere that you have to also set very clear expectations
Right.
and that you
Exactly.
cannot over explain things. Yet, on the
Mm-hmm.
other hand, you shouldn't also micromanage. So, what is the
Yes,
trick
exactly.
in being very explicit about expectations and yet not micromanaging?
Well, I would set goals, and the goals are different from the expected results. What do I mean by that? Now, for example, the goals can be, well, I want to make sure that um, we continue to maintain our partnerships with our customers, diba? And then you set the results. What does that mean? Well, I just want to make sure that you call on these people at least once a week or twice a
Right,
week,
right,
and
right.
that you follow them up for the following. No, what is their order? What's the have you collected this much from them? So parang you set clear
Right.
goals, and then you set clear results that you are expecting, diba? So it's not just simply parang off the top of your head. Basta I want you to make sure that the customers are happy. What does
Right,
that mean? So
right,
be a bit specific on what that means to you, diba? And if it's not clear, clarify. Ask them what it
right,
means, diba? And I would also keep feedback as open as possible. What do I mean by that? If things aren't going so well between you and your boss, then give them the feedback on why it's not going so well, and
right.
keep it very objective on the particular behavior. So sometimes it's necessary to give that feedback and to tell people na I felt that you were maybe parang sometimes people feel like their bosses are micromanaging them. So I say, so when you say micromanage, what does that mean? Kasi tawag siya ng tawag, text siya ng text, bago ako magising the next day, 10 text na tinext na from last
Ako
night.
yata yun.
So I would give that feedback and say that, you know what, boss, last night you texted me between the hours of 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. 10 times. So just be specific
Hindi
on the
naman 10
behavior.
times.
Five times, 4 times. And then you can say the specific behavior that made you feel that he doesn't
Right.
trust you. Diba? And say, the specific behavior is, last night, I noticed you texted me like 3 or 4 times. Pero pinag-usapan na natin yun, boss eh. Pero the 4 times you texted me, the next day, I felt na I'm concerned na baka hindi ako tinatrust ng boss ko. So you
Right,
can say the feedback
right,
without necessarily criticizing
right.
or making
Start
it
with
personal.
I statements.
Yes, exactly. And be specific on the behavior. Okay.
Right. And for the
Mm-mm.
last tip on that flash on the screen, be
Yes.
realistic and honest with them about a challenging home situation. So you can
Yes.
reveal this without being
Yes.
thought upon as
Yes.
what, not in control? Like what sort of,
Well, I think that we're all
will they be
struggling, no?
understanding?
I think so. I think for the bosses out there, you'll be understanding, huh? But I think that this is the situation. We're working from home. Many of us are working with family members, with kids, with spouses. While your sibling is having a call, you're having a call too. So be realistic and just tell your boss, boss, unfortunately at this time I'm working from home, but my sibling, my parent is working from home too. So medyo maingay if we have our telecon. You try to find a way to solve it, but if you can't, be realistic and say that, diba?
Right.
On your challenging situation, you can even say, I have a young child here. My yaya went and left and hasn't come back since the lockdown. So I'm
Right.
managing a child. So there might be times when I will need to take care of my child while I'm finishing my report. Is that okay with you? And we do the
Right.
best we can, diba?
Right.
With
Right.
that. Mm-hmm.
Great. So to recapitulate, you
Yeah.
narrowed it down to
Yeah.
5 steps.
Yeah, that's right. So
So
the
the first
first
is
thing,
control what you can.
yes, and I think this is where it's a lesson in humility. We like to control as much as we can, but the only thing we can control is ourselves. Now we want to control, we can't control the COVID situation, but we can
Right.
control how safe or what precautions we take.
Right.
Diba? We can't control our coworkers, our bosses, or even our deliverables as much as we can, our customers. So control what you can within the resources that you have, and let go of the rest. And that includes as well the second point, which is, I think now is the time to organize our schedules for our family, for ourselves, for our work, and our life outside the office. And that's the only way, I feel like, for many of us, that we have a sense of control or
Right.
stability.
Right.
No? And that brings me to my third point, which is, it's important to have boundaries. What do I mean by that? Boundaries between yourself, your work, your personal life, because we all have a personal life. I mean, of course, work is a big part of our life. Maybe it's majority of your day, 8 to 9 to 10 hours. For some of us, it's even more. But there's more to a person than that. As much as you love your job, and I'll be honest, I love my job. I love what I do, and that's why I shifted careers how many years ago, and I still love it. But I recognize that if this is all I do all day, I will burn out, and I won't be any good for my clients the next day. So parang you need to refuel by doing other things and fulfilling the other roles that you need to do. And that's why it's important to have boundaries and to know when enough is enough, when to say no, when to ask for timeout or for space. No? And the next point was, no man is an island. We've all heard that. Yeah.
Right.
As much as we thought we want to work from home, we miss our office mates. So stay connected with your friends. If it's your colleagues, then good. Stay connected too, but also find time to relax and enjoy with them. Even if it's just an occasional call, virtual or audio, it helps a lot. No, and stay connected. Be informed as well with the latest news, but don't make babad in the bad news. Don't
Right. Right.
immerse yourself, because that can be toxic too.
Right.
Diba? And I've had people tell me na they open their Facebook, they read all these negative posts,
Away.
panic attacks na. So parang for me, take what you can, but also exercise some restrictions if it's too much. Okay?
Right.
And then the last point is, we're all adjusting, we're all transitioning to the new normal. And sometimes, and a lot of the times, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be, you're not going to be the best that you want to be. So self-compassion and self-forgiveness is important. So for our
Right.
mental health, and for us to also feel like, we're doing the best we can, and
Right.
be thankful for that, and learn to let the other stuff go. No?
Right.
Okay,
Great.
yeah.
And number 6 is get a hold of Malu's book. Would you like to show
Okay.
them the book that you wrote
Okay.
and
Well,
tell us about
this
it?
this is the book. I wrote this in 2017. So I put in all the career advice. It's a collection of all of the learnings I've had from working in corporate, being a headhunter, and being a career consultant. I put it together in a book because I felt like not everybody can seek career counseling, but at least
True.
all the information is there.
True.
It's been around for a while. It's been in national bookstores across the country. The major stores in like the SM stores, or things like, or even like the Ayala malls, it's there. Even in Cebu and Iloilo, it's there too. So if you can get a copy, if that might help you, it teaches people how to discern what you want to do with your life. So some of us might be at a crossroads right now. So that
Right.
helps,
Especially
figuring out
now.
Yeah,
Right.
what do you want to do with your career? And then after you've figured it out, how to make a resume. We all need that sometimes if we want to explore other job options. How to interview properly, how to negotiate for salary, and how to manage your career in the corporate world. No, it
Right.
doesn't include work from home yet because this was written 3 years ago. But if it might help you, it's there, it's available in most major national bookstores.
In fact, I was talking to Malu about a part two about,
Yeah.
I guess, career pivoting in
Yes, career
career
shifting,
times,
right?
career
Yeah.
shifting, and the
Yeah.
possibilities. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe not many of us have the luxury of actually changing careers at this moment
Yes.
when
Mm-hmm.
survival is foremost priority. But
Mm-hmm.
maybe we can explore
Yeah,
what's going
exactly.
on.
Yeah, I think
Right.
right now a lot of people are exploring their other talents. So you've seen a lot of people doing baking or other
Yeah.
things, mga other activities, diba? So maybe there are options out there
Right.
that you
Or they're
can
putting up
explore.
talk shows
Yeah,
like this.
exactly. So definitely there are options, right? So we can talk
Right.
about that next time.
Right. Thank you so much, Malu, for all
Sure.
your expert insights
Mm-hmm.
and tips. So many people will uh,
Mm-hmm.
benefit from all the tips today that you gave today. So we can all look forward to another work day in the kitchen or the guest.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. It was my pleasure to be on your talk show.
You. And we have a comment here. She said, Carmina Torres said she's been
Yeah.
swamped with tasks as she works from home. And she wanted to talk to someone about it, but haven't found the time. And now she has so many
Mhm.
takeaways from this talk, and she suddenly feels better.
Yay. I'm glad.
Yay. Thank you so
Yay.
much.
Yes. Thanks also for having me. Have a
All
good
right.
evening. Okay.
Bye. You can
Bye.
follow Malu at her Instagram at Malu_psychologist_coach.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Thanks. Okay.
Bye. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you, everyone. This has been Ask Miss Mears, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.